Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Cool. Welcome back to another episode of the MulletCast, the podcast where business and pleasure collide. I'm Evan Balmer.
I'm Mike Garcia. What's up?
What's going on? Today we are joined by Natalie Newbold of Well Wisher. Check out Well Wisher online at wellwishernj.com, on Facebook at wellwishernj, and Instagram at wellwisher_nj. What's going on, Natalie?
Hi.
How you doing? Thanks for joining us
Pretty
today.
good. Thanks for having me.
Cool. I'll just get a bunch of info out of the way so people can start scouring for it. But you have a new release coming out called This Is Fine
Yes.
on September 28th on 6131 Records.
It's 6131.
Oh, okay.
But
My bad.
yeah, they get that all the time.
6131. What's the origin of the name? Do you know?
It was actually a address, a number of a house that
Nice.
the owner of the label lived in.
That's cool.
Yeah, but they wanted to call it 6131.
Right.
Just because of the way that it kind of sounds.
It
like
does
kinda-
sound cool.
Yeah, it has like a nice ring to it. But they all the time get that. Oh,
I'm sure.
6131.
See, they got the unfortunate address. I have a defunct record label. It's called 105 Records, and it was my dorm room in college. So
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
105 was easy, you know. That was cool. But so your release is coming out on the 28th. You've got a release show in Asbury on October 6th at
Yes.
Asbury Park Brewery. Tickets are actually on sale now at brownpapertickets.com. You got a ton of other shows we'll talk about coming up.
Yeah.
One on Thursday in Philly, kicking it off on the 20th at No Face Studios.
Yeah.
So tell us about your new release.
It's been a little over a year in the making. I was in a other band called Dollies for a long time, and when that broke up in June of 2017, this had already kind of been like a side project for me.
Mhm.
So I just decided, to continue writing under that name and start getting some new people to join the band and stuff. So it's kind of crazy looking back at this past year, how much has happened with the group.
Right.
It's like insane, wrote a record. I wrote something like 14 songs or so that we like narrowed down to 10,
Right.
and then recorded it all at an Airbnb, like at a house that we rented in the Poconos.
That's
awesome.
cool.
That's awesome.
With my really good friend, my best friend Eric Romero, and then mixed, mastered it to the whole thing. Started sending it to labels.
Right.
Got signed to this label. They have vinyl and CD coming out nationwide and in UK and overseas in
Right.
Switzerland, some other places like that.
Nice.
And I'm just ready to start playing these songs more and having everybody hear the whole record
Right.
and online and stuff.
Was that house in the Poconos? Is this on?
Yeah.
Was that house in the Poconos meant for musicians or?
No, it
No?
was just like a vacation type of spot.
Right.
But actually, this is a really funny story, and I think I told you
Yes.
this. Like, we had started thinking about this idea. Okay, let's maybe not do it at a studio,
Mhm.
and we can save a bunch of money and also have like a really unique experience. So, started looking at different places online, and the first Airbnb that I saw that had like a nice space for recording and all the basic things that we were looking for in a place to do this.
Right.
I contacted them, and he was like, "Oh, are you Natalie from Dollies?" And I was like, "Yeah." And
That's
he was like,
crazy.
"Of course you can record a record here.
Oh,
That's
that's
so
awesome.
cool."
That's
I was like, "Oh."
That's funny.
So it just like so happened that this person had heard about the band before and
Nice.
were excited. So yeah.
That's really cool. I was curious if you actually told them what you wanted to do or if you just rented it,
Yeah,
you
I
figured-
thought about going that route, but
Right.
that just seemed really rude.
Right.
Just like,
Yeah.
oh, by the way, I'm just gonna be bringing like
That's cool.
there's so much equipment. We even brought a full console
Right.
there,
That's
with
awesome.
I think it was like 16 tracks, So
Mhm.
Yeah.
it just seemed like
I mean, the record sounds
much of an
sick, so
ask. Oh,
it must have
thank
been
you.
a cool spot to record.
it ended up sounding. It was one of those things where it was really magical. The room sounded great.
Right.
It was big enough to get everything done. No neighbors complained the whole time. We were
That's
tracking
awesome.
till like late at night.
Right.
Nice.
Nothing weird happened. It was just
Right.
like smooth sailing. Every possible, in my mind, I was making up every possible negative thing that could possibly have happened.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Right, totally.
Like, down to like thinking about like we're in the Poconos. What happens if a bear is
Right.
outside? And then so
Yeah.
we're in the middle of the woods. I don't know.
Right, totally.
So but no, smooth sailing.
Nice.
Went really well.
is
and-
cool.
Where could someone listen to it?
So
The
it's
record.
coming out September 28th.
Okay.
It's gonna be available on all like music platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and even Tidal, which I found
Right.
out this past week.
Still around?
I guess yes. I was like, oh, we're on Tidal.
That's cool.
Cool. And also Bandcamp
Right.
online and.
That's sweet. So when you were recording in that house, did you put people in different rooms? Was there like drums are in the bedroom, guitar in the living room, that kind of stuff?
The
Or
like main living room or living area, it was sort of like an open floor plan. So it was
Right.
like a kitchen, kind of dining like area, and then the living room. And we just had everybody in there. We set
That's
up
cool.
everything in there,
So it's
and then
live.
overdubbed like some other stuff later.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Nice.
That's I think too. Like there's a lot of special studios out there that are destined. Like I think of Bearsville, like people go live there for a month,
Yeah.
and track, and everyone's. So it's not like all right, we have to go to the studio today, and then you're trying to get in the vibe. It's like you're
Yeah.
there and you're in.
It's a really good system.
Mm-hmm.
And Dolly's last record that we put out was recorded like that. We
That's
were
cool.
at a studio in Kernersville called Fidelatorium, and it's there's a house on premise
Right.
for the artists and anyone else who's staying, and this giant live room and studio space. And we wanted to replicate that. Like, we wanted to do that exact thing.
Right.
Like, live there. You wake up, grab a cup of coffee, start recording.
Yep.
Break for lunch, go back to recording. Break
That's
for
cool.
dinner, go back. So we wanted to do that, but not spend as much money.
Right.
It
Totally.
ended up working out really well.
That's
Awesome.
really cool.
Yeah.
So, what was the transition like going from Dolly's to your own project?
It's been pretty interesting. I feel very empowered by it, though.
Mhm.
I think that it's something for myself as an artist, that kind of needed to happen at some point. It was, I don't know. I just felt able to express myself more creatively now that I'm the primary writer.
Right.
It's not like I'm trying to fit a particular sound or mold.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Dolly's songs were sort of like more, almost like 60s pop,
Right.
based,
Yep.
like with other influences and stuff in there. But I was writing more like Pixies or Weezery type
Right.
punk
Yeah.
songs, and just trying to fit those into the mold of Dolly's was kind of hard.
So now you could really do anything, right?
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It just feels like, well, this is me and my voice and the things that I feel and have to say, and the band kind of fits around that for me now,
Cool.
versus before where it was sort of like I was trying to fit into Dolly's.
Right.
So
And then you transitioned to instruments also.
yeah, so drums and sang.
Yeah.
And now guitar and sing.
Right.
So that's been a crazy journey.
That is crazy.
Pedals are my worst nightmare.
I always think of Dave Grohl, and I always think like, dude, it's the worst gig in the world had to be being the Foo Fighters drummer, right? Like, 'cause how do I step into that guy? So what was it like? Maybe finding musicians, but then also someone playing drums. Like, are you ever tempted? Like, no, I want to do it this way, or that kind of stuff.
I've tried really hard to just sort of sit back and whatever the drummer kind of wants to do creatively, I want them to express, themselves in that way. There were a couple times during the recording process where it was like, no, that's not working. And I was like, oh, just try this beat. And then it fit really well and was cool. And I was like,
That's right,
it's
right,
like,
right.
oh,
Right.
well.
Oh, someone knows a little something about the drums.
Yeah,
eh?
yeah, exactly.
Miss
Yeah.
Selfer.
Yeah. So, but for the most part, I just try to sit back and
Right.
and let them.
Let it happen.
Yeah.
So how did
Nice.
you find you started out like maybe as a solo project, but then were these people that would have plugged in to record with you, or you kind of found them and it evolved into a band?
The project started off as like a side project for my songs that didn't fit the Dollies
Gotcha,
thing.
right.
And it was with my friend Eric Romero, who he plays with the Front Bottoms now.
Okay.
And then my current drummer, Mike Lenardi. And when it became my primary focus, they had both decided, they were in other things and projects, they had both decided this is too much, you know, for us, I think, right now. You should try to find other members.
Gotcha.
So I contacted my good friend Lucas, who is an awesome guitar player, lead guitar player. He comes up with really cool stuff, and I always loved everything he played in Romp, which was his previous band.
Right.
And I knew it would fit perfectly, and he's like a great person and a great friend, and he immediately was just like, yes, like whatever you want to do,
Right.
like I'm into, and that felt great, like to just like have someone like him in my corner essentially,
Right.
and just down for working on it. And then later we went through a couple different member changes, people kind of in and out, and then my bass player Lindsay moved from Jersey City to Asbury Park, and we had mutual friends, and
Right.
she played guitar in a band, and our friend Eric Bennett convinced her to try out for bass for this band.
Nice.
And she was really nervous to start because she had never picked up a bass before,
Right.
but really did her homework, like was listening to stuff, was learning very quickly technique, and yeah, she knocks it out of the park. She's awesome.
That's cool.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm really fortunate to have like the people playing with me that I really admire and love what they do. So,
Right.
yeah.
That is
It
cool.
makes it easier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Your new singles, you have 2 singles out from the album already. I Know Better and Believe. I listen to them on iTunes. I always feel like when I say iTunes, I'm one of the few people that listen on there, or Apple Music or whatever.
There's people
People
that
are
listen on there. Yeah.
Spotify, people can check it out. Title, are they on Title yet? The singles, or
They
is
are.
the album? Okay,
They
cool.
are.
So Title, you can check it out on there. I think they're awesome. I mean, they're like, I was trying to figure out what it reminds me of, and it was pretty much nothing. And then I was reading your bio, and your bio said it could be at times classified as punk, alternative, or pop rock. And I think it does take elements from all of those things. Like it just reminds me of, like, for me, one of the awesome periods of music is like 90s alternative. I love that. And it kind of takes me back to how I felt at that time, like excited about music. And I picture myself when I first heard I Know Better, I'm like, there's a sick guitar part right at the beginning, and like I picture like me with my tennis racket back in the day listening to records, like playing air guitar. You know? Do you want to play anything from the record?
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool.
All right. So this is a song called "Waste My Time," and it's been in our. We've been playing it live. It's been in our set for a long time, but it's the last song on the record, actually. But I really like this song, so. Hey, James, come and spend the day now. I'm spent accumulating
was nice.
Thank you.
That was a cool
That was
tune.
relaxing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that.
Seems zen.
That's the perks of the podcast. We get to not only be right here in the front row, but also we get a taste of some song that's not available yet on the record. So that's cool.
Awesome.
You told us a little bit about the guitar beforehand. So you want to talk about how you scored that guitar? It does sound pretty sweet. I like it.
Thank you. This is from Chicago Music Exchange, and it was kind of a funny story because Dolly's was on tour out in Chicago, and you know, everybody was joking like, you know, I'm gonna buy something, you know.
Right.
And I'm sort of like not. I love gear. I just can't afford gear. So you know, I'm not about to drop a whole ton of money on just random stuff. But
Right.
I picked up this guitar, got trapped playing it for like 45 minutes.
Right. Was
writing songs left and right, and I just went up to the salesperson, and I was like, I'll take this. And I, you know, had to get their credit card or whatever,
Right.
and picked it up. But
That's cool.
I love the guitar. I think it sounds great. And one of my favorite songwriters, Andy Schaff, I was telling you guys, he plays this guitar too.
That's
so
cool.
Nice.
I just had to have it.
Nice. Do you know anything about how old it is or anything like that?
No, I know it's used. I know that these guitars, you know, are newer. You know, they're modeled after parlor, you know, vintage Gibson,
Right.
parlor guitars, which are
Right.
basically like smaller bodied. You know, they're not those like big dreadnoughts,
Right.
like
Right.
huge. So I think it was, you know, within the last couple of years.
That's cool.
built and-
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounded good.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah, that
It's
was
got a
good.
nice like warm tone to
Yeah.
it. Right.
Definitely.
That's cool. How do you write mostly?
I have a couple different things that I'll do. A lot of times, different ideas will come to me when I'm working. So I teach 5 days a week, and that's always kind of interesting. Like I came up with a song yesterday, right before a lesson. They were late, so I was just noodling around on guitar.
Right.
And then they walk in, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, I just have to record this really quick." And I'm just like, you know.
Right.
But sometimes songs for me happen in 5 minutes,
Right.
and I'm not even at an instrument. I wrote a song a couple weeks ago at a show I was playing, watching a girl play a song that she wrote.
Right.
And I'm looking at the chord progression, and I'm like, it would be really cool if she switched these two chords around.
Right.
And then in my brain, I started thinking about like lyrics for like a chorus
Right.
over those chords.
Right. Right.
And then had this idea kind of swirling around in my head. Came home like 1 a.m, just wrote this song.
Wow.
5 minutes, you know. So it all
That's impressive.
depends for
Yeah.
me.
Right.
Sometimes it takes me a really long time. Sometimes I'm, you know, at my computer making a demo for hours, and I still don't like the way it came out, and I'm just like, nah, I don't know. So
What do you teach?
I teach drums, guitar, bass, piano, and vocals. You know, like most like band instrument, you know, like rock band instruments.
Are you Evan's teacher?
I am Evan's teacher.
I try to
for his
convince him
class.
to bring in his bass.
Yeah. I said two things. One, well, first I didn't want to blow your cover, and you know, and the other is like I don't want to brutalize your song, so we'll leave it to the professionals today. You know what I'm
Before the year's over, though, I told him he has to bring his bass in
Yeah.
and jam out.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is cool. So it's interesting just to segue back, though, to the songwriting part of it is I heard an interview with Paul McCartney recently, which it's interesting that he's gone the full spectrum, right? They asked him, like, where do you get your ideas and how do you jot them down? He's like, he talked about one famous song popped in his mind, and the Beatles always worked with George Martin. And he was calling George Martin. He's like, I got to get in the studio to get this song down. And George Martin wasn't available, and Paul was so scared that he was going to lose the song. He's like, called this other producer. And George Martin was like pissed for years that, like, how could you call someone else? Don't ever do that again. And he's like, dude, I had to get it down. And then today, he walks around with an iPhone and can, like, if he has an idea, instantly just jot it into the phone, you know?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I think it's like a constant sort of fight happening, like between technology and the arts,
Mhm.
because in a lot of ways, technology like instant streaming music
Right.
and stuff like that has taken big hits from the music industry in terms of like making money and
Right.
everything, you know, business related to it. But creatively, it's awesome how quickly we can jot down ideas,
Yep.
record. I mean, so many
Right.
awesome records you hear, oh, that he recorded that in his bedroom. And
Right.
you're like, how? You know,
Right.
like it
Yeah.
sounds so good. Or
Totally.
so there's like kind of feels like sort of endless possibilities on the creative end,
Mm-hmm.
which is exciting and
Right.
fun and cool.
Yep.
But on maybe the other end of actually turning that into money
Right.
and a sustainable income is sort
Totally.
of scarier.
Right.
Mhm.
It is cool though because so I think about, and the time frames have shortened though too, because it used to be like, you know, if you're recording analog way back in the day, and it was like a year-long recording process. So like by the time an artist's album came out, like it could have been the song they wrote years ago.
Yeah.
You know, at least now it's like the time frames tighten up. But you're probably getting antsy because you're like, I'm waiting for September 28th for my record to come out, and I've already
Yeah.
written these other songs maybe, or you know.
It's kind of crazy, you know, because yeah, you do read about these sessions like Peter Gabriel sessions where it's like 72 tracks,
Right.
you know, that they had, and the amount of money that they spent on like one song,
Right.
and yeah, that can be, you know, like a really good like sort of juxtaposition between like us and
Right.
now versus then, how far technology has come and stuff.
Yep.
But for me, yeah, I'm like not over the songs at all. You know, I'm
Sure.
still proud of it and I'm really excited. But am prepared and ready to start working on something new.
Right.
6 songs done.
Mhm.
Another like 10 or so like ideas sort
Right.
of floating around and things that can be made more concrete. So
That's cool.
And you said you had like 20 songs originally and narrowed it down, or
for the last record, I only had 14.
14? Okay.
But it kind of felt like it was sort of I was like more we were more focused on like making a voice for the record and
Okay.
like I was trying to figure out like who I even am as like a songwriter a little bit more.
Mhm.
So this next one I hope to have way more material to narrow
Okay.
down from. So we'll see what happens.
Nice.
I think that's cool too. Is that if there was something like, let's just say you had this great idea for a new song, like you said, it came to you, you wrote it at 1 a.m. If you wanted to, you could put it out literally the next day. You
Yeah.
know, which is cool also, even if it's a demo form or whatever. You
Yeah.
know, so there are ways to reach people
Yeah.
quickly and.
With the last Dolly's record, I always thought this was a cool process. So we had, I think, 19 songs for that.
Mhm.
And what we did is we picked out some people who really, really loved the band, and we sent them all the demos.
Oh,
And we
wow.
just said, like, rate them,
Right.
like 1 through 19.
Right.
And then we, like, took that data and we
Right.
put it into our system. And then,
That's fun.
yeah, we, like, figured out what were the most, like,
That's cool.
the best songs from that. Just, like, a totally, you know, we're trying to be not, you know, pick our favorites.
Sure.
We're trying to, like, get a wider spectrum. Of,
Yeah, I think that helps because sometimes you're too close to everything. You know.
Yeah. I know for me, there are songs like Believe is a
Mhm.
good example of that. Everyone who worked in the recording process loved that song. The label loved that song.
Right.
I liked that song, you know,
Uh-huh.
but I thought there were better songs on the record.
Cool.
So I was sort of like, oh, you want that to be the single? Really? Okay.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But at some point, it's probably just my personal feelings. It was one of the first ones I wrote for this record, and
Right.
you know,
So maybe you feel like you've moved
exactly.
past it. Or
I think it's
something.
probably just a weird personal
Right.
thing. So
True. So did you pick the first single then?
no, didn't pick either of the singles. Well, I do. Yes, I would say I would have picked that one
Okay.
as a single. So
Alright, cool.
yeah. But
That's
no, the label picked the singles
Yeah.
and like the PR people.
Right. That's cool.
probably just should have said yes. I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
My favorite one.
The short answer.
Sometimes, I mean, there's so many stories throughout the history of music of how songs become hits. And a lot of times it's the unexpected song. You know, there's examples where it's a DJ loved the band but hated the single that the station was or the label was cramming down their throats, and he just went off track and played what he thought was the best song.
Right.
Like, you know, it happened to be K-Rock in Los Angeles, so it's like that gets traction. But you know, you never know, right? It could be someone at the label picks it, and you think I never would have thought that was the song.
Yeah, and it's happened before in the past. One of Dolly's most popular songs was a song I wrote called Cornerstones, and it was just one of those songs for us. Like, it was like sort of like we didn't totally understand how it, like, so many people like would request it at shows,
Right.
and would know every lyric, and you know, we're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So what's your relationship with Dolly's like now?
So Eric, my friend who recorded this album, so, you know, super close friends, and the guitar player is my ex-boyfriend, so we don't really talk.
Gotcha.
It's like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no, I mean, are they, so you don't even know if they wish you well in what you're doing, or you just don't communicate, basically?
No.
Gotcha.
It ended, like, pretty poorly.
Yeah.
And I think that a couple of the first reviews that came out for these songs kind of, like, nailed it on the head.
Right.
Like, they were sort of just like, I mean, I guess, like, the front cover is a little bit of a giveaway about how I felt about it.
Right.
You know, but it's not, that, the cover is actually not so much.
Is that the cover?
Yeah. It's not so much like my negative feelings towards the band, because I think that there's so much that I learned in that entire process.
Right.
And we did awesome stuff, played really cool shows, toured the country,
Right.
you know, a bunch of times. And so I don't regret anything, but I did feel sort of like a little locked into that identity, I guess, just from the mild success that the band even had.
Right.
So the album cover, I meant for it to be me, you know. It's like supposed to be, you know, me sort of burning away that identity,
Right.
and kind of restarting,
Right.
just being like, this is over now,
Yeah.
and I had to do this, you
Right.
know, like
Right.
it was important for me to sort of start a new chapter.
Gotcha.
So
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a clean start, right?
yeah, definitely.
That's
Very cool.
awesome. I like it.
Thanks.
That is cool. So how did you, like, what got you to the Dollies, I guess? Like, tell us about your musical career growing up. And
Yeah, in college, I was in a band called Green Paper, and Jeff and I played in that band together. He had started it, and we did a lot of cool, fun stuff with that band, but kind of came to a point where the other members didn't want to, like, take it to that kind of next level where it's a
Right.
little bit more of a real thing. Like, we were just graduating school. They wanted to, you know, get jobs and,
Right.
and commit to that versus, you know, committing to the band. So, like, Jeff and I decided to start a new project, and that's when we got Eric to be involved, which sort of changed my life completely.
Right.
Because around that time, I was thinking about quitting music.
Right.
I just had felt like a lot of pressure to, I don't know, just move forward.
Right.
My parents were really pressuring me into
Yeah.
figuring out bigger life stuff, and I was working at Guitar Center, and I hated it.
Oh, yeah.
And I just didn't know what to do.
Right.
And Eric sort of he was buying a house, and he was married, and he was making music work for him as a career. And I remember he showed me the house that they were buying, and I had told him, you know, I'm thinking about maybe not doing music anymore. I just don't
Right.
know how to make it work in my life. And he was like, no. He was like, what? No. You
Right.
know, and we had talked about it for a while, and he was like, come live with my wife and I. And I'm
Right.
like, you guys just got married. Like, I'm not doing that. That's super weird.
Right.
And he's like, no, I'll talk to Lisa. Like,
Right.
it'll be fine. Like, we, you know, have an extra bedroom in the house, and, you know, we can work it out.
Right.
You can come work at Lake House, and you can be at Lake House more often. I was
Uh-huh.
still working at Guitar Center at the time, like halfway. I was
Right.
like half working at Guitar Center, half working at Lake House. And he's like, you can just commit full time to Lake House and, you know, make this happen for you.
Right.
And I did what he said. And,
That's cool.
And, you know, it's tough making music as your whole life and career.
Right.
Just because there's like a certain, you know, threshold.
Sure.
It's like, this is how much I get paid to teach you a lesson, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like negotiable, like
Right.
I guess, you know, like at some point. But it is very fulfilling for me, and it is
Right.
very, I can't imagine, I guess, doing anything else right now.
Yeah.
Or like showing up to a 9 to 5 or something. I think that's not where I'm at in my life yet.
Right.
I'm still exploring this.
Yeah, yeah. That would suck. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm glad someone.
Well
It
said.
would, man. No, it's cool that you had someone that could show you, look, you can do this for your life, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure like tons of people out there like give in to the pressure of get a job, you know.
Yeah.
Ming was talking about going to Atlantic City before, and Dee Snider's going to be down there. And the whole time around this conversation, all I think is that one video there is where it's like, "What do you want to do with your life?"
Yeah, the angry dad at the
Right,
beginning.
totally.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, "I want to rock."
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. So that's cool. So then that enabled you to sort of make a go of it.
Yeah. Definitely like set the stage for the next couple of years for me,
Right.
you know. And I think that he just showed me like hard work does pay off when you do it right and smart and think about what you're doing.
Right.
Mhm.
That's cool.
I like
So,
that.
yeah.
On top of music, what else do you like to do? What's the mullet part? Actually, you're kind of living the mullet, but
My whole life is
Yeah.
the mullet.
Yeah. so what's your mullet?
Yeah.
No, it's so funny. It's like my hobbies are literally like the hobbies of like an 80-year-old woman. Like I love like cooking and baking.
Crochet.
Yeah. I joke all the time. Like people are like, yeah, so you're living that rock star life. I'm like, yeah.
Totally.
No, but I do like. I love music. I love going to shows.
Right.
Just saw like Phoebe Bridgers at the Saint. We went to the city and saw Sucre at Baby's All Right. Just been to like a lot of different shows. We saw
Right.
Jenny Lewis at White Eagle Hall a couple weeks ago, and yeah, I love cooking.
Love cooking.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
What's your go-to dish?
I do like a couple different things. Most recently, I've been trying to perfect eggplant parm.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I make my, everything, sauce and
Right.
and all of it. But a go-to like easy one. I also cook a lot of like vegetarian things.
Uh-huh.
So make like quinoa tacos
Right.
with like either like lime, cilantro, mushrooms, or crispy. Yeah. Crispy,
Ming's
like-
a foodie. So.
Yes. Yeah.
We're going to have to go podcast from your house and
Yeah.
then you can have one of those tacos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Just yesterday, I made like vegan cookies, like chocolate chip cookies.
Right.
And when I tell people that, like my roommates and stuff are eating them, and like when I tell people that, they're just like, "What?"
Right.
You know? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
They actually turn out good.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird.
What's in those?
It's so simple. It's coconut oil, brown sugar, vanilla, almond milk, flour, baking soda, and vegan chocolate chips, which are just usually like you do dark chocolate, so it's just
Yeah.
like no milk in
Right.
it. And yeah, they turn out really good.
Nice.
Nice. So your parents down with your choice of careers these days?
Yeah, my mom. So we opened up for Newfound Glory at Convention Hall,
Right.
and I think that like was
That's pretty awesome.
huge for my mom.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, she was just like afterwards. She's like, oh, I'm so proud. You know, she's like,
That's
yeah,
cool.
you know, it felt nice. To,
Right. They have an advanced copy of the record already.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
My
cool.
whole, my mom and my sister, have been jamming.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
cool.
It's like my sister, at this point, because she heard a bunch of the demos too, and she's an English. She's learning to. She's going to school currently to be a high school English teacher.
Right.
So she loves writing, and you know we went through the lyrics together before starting to record and
Right.
stuff, and she helped me just like little things. So
Punctuate.
I feel like for her at this point she's like the same. She's like sort of like, yeah, so like when's the next one coming out? Like she's like
She's ready.
like, all right, I heard these
Yeah.
enough. Like let's.
That's cool.
Sounds like you're already getting it ready though. The next one.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Hopefully it'll like we'll come back from playing these bunches of shows over the next couple of months, and we'll be able to start working on some new material in the beginning of next year.
Sweet.
Are you guys doing the porch event in Asbury this weekend?
I saw that. No, we're actually gonna be. Oh wait, it's this weekend.
Or is
I
it?
think it is this weekend.
It's this
yeah.
weekend, right?
Yeah,
I
because
feel
the
like-
following weekend is the See Here Now Fest. I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. No, you know, I didn't even know that was happening.
All right, dude. If anyone's got a porch, message us. Would you show
Yeah.
up? Would you show up and
Yes.
do it? All
Yeah,
right, sweet.
yeah.
Is anyone
We
in
have
Asbury?
a sweet porch too. We're
Oh,
right.
do you?
Yeah, we're right on Grand. I don't know. Maybe I should
You should just get out.
Just
there.
get out
go
there, yeah.
outside and like I'm part of this.
Right.
Have
totally.
cookies.
Right?
Have cookies ready and just start jamming out. People
Yeah.
come.
That would be
That'd be
cool.
cool.
Yeah, there we go. September 22nd. Asbury
Awesome.
Park, second annual Porch Fest.
Yeah, I love that idea.
I know, that's really cool. I was a little bummed I was not part of exactly planning something to be involved in it. You know?
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
cool. It does look cool. But it
And
looks
it's scattered all throughout.
Right.
It's on the west side too.
12 to 5, so just cruise around and look for music
Yeah.
on porches. That's sweet. What's your take on the Asbury music scene?
I love Asbury. I think it's so diverse.
Mhm.
So many different kinds of music, and people show up. You know, people come out to shows, and it's a really strong
Right.
community. I think some nights it's kind of overwhelming. It's sort of like, well, there's 5 shows I want to go to.
Right.
But, you know, you kind of have to hop around a little bit. But
Totally.
I think that's great.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah,
And it's supportive community of artists in town. Do you find
definitely.
that?
Yeah, people are mostly just very supportive and very nice.
Yeah. That's cool.
You know, there's not a whole lot of clickiness. And,
Right.
You know, I don't know. From what I've experienced, at
Right.
least.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know, there's certain you know, okay, well, these people are friends and these people are friends, but it's not weird for intermingling of that sort of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good.
Cool.
Sweet. You want to jam out another song for us?
Yes, sure.
Awesome. What are you going to play this time?
This is another one that has been in our set. I need a tune. I'm
Cool.
sorry. I
That's
apologize
all right.
because it's going to be kind of annoying. This is another one that's been in the set for a little while. And I really love playing acoustic. I think that it's sort of how I wrote this one. And it's one of those songs that sort of just works out
Right.
acoustic really well. But with my relationship sort of ending before Dolly's broke up, I felt like this song sort of took that situation. It was sort of one of those moments where it's I was able to write exactly how I felt,
Right.
which I think was a cool step for me.
Liberating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was yeah, that's kind of exactly it.
Right.
You know, so yeah, it's called All My Love. And here's another sad song to kill the last one. I don't like to feel sorry for myself. Sorry for myself. The dreary afternoon spent, I'm filled with regrets. I've been running circles in the rain, circles in the rain, 'cause all my love couldn't fix us. No, all my love wouldn't help. And you've gotta wanna save yourself when all my love couldn't help. I wanna see you in the sunshine. You're happy with another mind, but you like to feel sorry for yourself. Sorry for yourself. And is this really healing? When you tear apart all my friends, you know it's not good for them. Not good for them. 'Cause all my love couldn't fix us. No, all my love wouldn't help. And you've gotta wanna save yourself when all my love wouldn't help. And splitting's never easy, but nothing has to be this hard. And more woes are to come if you don't know what you've done. 'Cause all my love couldn't fix us. No, all my love wouldn't. And you've gotta wanna save yourself when all my love couldn't help.
Very cool.
Thank you.
I had this tingle in my throat. And I'm like, this is the most beautiful part of this
Yeah.
song. I don't want to cough, man. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I felt a lot of emotion in that one.
It was, yeah,
That was good.
for sure. Is that?
I was about to kick you under the table.
Yeah.
Stop calling. I'm like,
Oh, dude, this is the worst. I was gonna run out, but I thought it might distract you and be worse. You know, cause a whole catastrophe here. I think it's funny. Like, I always can remember certain songs. Like, I remember where I was the first time I heard it, or maybe it reminds you of some point of your life. Like, so is that tougher? Like, you know, you're gonna be singing this live in a concert. Is it like almost overwhelming, like emotionally sometimes, or?
It's kind of interesting because I have a tendency to sort of be like, oh well, that. Can you curse at all?
Sure.
yeah,
Okay.
just you have a
Hey.
quarter or anything?
No.
We'll swear
Well,
to it. No,
I
let
don't
it
even
rip.
think that you know, I kind of have like a thing for me where I'm just like, well, that sucked. Okay,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
I'm a very like pragmatic person, so
Right.
I think that my natural inclination is just to like move past things as quickly as possible,
Mhm.
or try to. You know, if I'm just like, this is a bad situation, this makes me feel really crappy. I don't want to like, you know, I don't want to keep thinking about this. I just
Right.
want to like do what's the best thing to do and move on. But I think a lot of these songs are good now for me to even be playing them and feeling them again
Right.
a year later, because it's like helping me heal, you know,
Yeah.
I think in
Mhm.
some way. It's sort of like, yeah, I mean, that's what that was like. That's what that felt like. And now a year later, I can appreciate it more. I'm just like, you know,
Right.
feeling so much better and doing so much better and working on these cool things and doing this. And yeah, like having that to look back on and feel again is like kind of nice.
Right. Yeah, it's a cool outlook, I think. Where's the band name come from?
It's kind of a sad story. It's
Sorry.
no, it's okay. It's my dad and I don't have a super good relationship, and my parents got divorced in 2012, and I didn't talk to him for a while, like during that time period, just because it was a really sort of volatile like sort of situation. So that year, on my Christmas card or my birthday card, or the combination of the two, because my birthday's by Christmas, so it probably was that.
Right.
It just said, "Wish things were different, Dad." So I sort of kept that and liked the idea of like a well-wisher, like someone just
wishes you well.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Has that had an influence on a lot of your music?
I think for this last album, not so much, just because I was writing about, I was writing more about the end of my, relationship and the beginning of a new one, and the end specifically too of like Dolly's and what that meant for me. But previously in writing, it's like come up a lot, and on this new batch of songs that I'm writing, I have like a song that I sort of can't even get through right now.
Right.
Like it's just like a little too heavy for me. So
Yeah.
It's tough, and it's like I think that writing really helps me though discover and understand the like more complicated feelings and issues like surrounding certain people and relationships.
Well, they tell everyone who's gone through something, talk to someone or write it down.
Right.
You have that capability to put into a song.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Express yourself that way.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, some people can't even identify what they're feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
true.
nice that you can have that outlet.
Sometimes I feel that way too, and then I'll write a song and look back and be like, "Oh,
That's what it was.
That's what it was."
I guess. That's pretty funny. So, I mean, is that a relationship you're still working on?
With my dad,
Yeah.
on and off.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, I think it's one of those things where when you have a lot going on and you're dealing with whatever career-related stuff, kind of like I am now, like in terms of like getting ready to hit the road, play a bunch of shows, having a record coming out. I feel like it sort of takes like a backseat in my mind, and I'm not working on it so much, but it'll come up, and I think that it is something that like for me I'd like to like work on with him a little bit more and stuff. But, yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah.
Does he live nearby, or is it like a long distance kind of?
No,
situation?
no. Yeah, he lives in New Jersey, so
that's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. He's around.
All right. Well, hopefully you make it through that song eventually.
Yeah.
You know.
Hope so. Well, we'll see.
There's always surprises around every corner. All right. So you mentioned some shows. Let's throw out a few show dates. Philly, the 20th at No Face Studios. The 29th, you'll be in State College, PA at the Bakery. The 30th, Lancaster at the Kaleidoscope. The actual record release party is at Asbury Park Brewery on the 6th of October.
Yep.
Is that a Friday?
It's a Saturday.
It's a Saturday. All right.
I actually got the stressing news last night is I went to buy my tickets at Brown Paper Tickets and realized that I have an engagement I have to go to that night.
Yeah.
I'm like, F, So
That's why I was asking. I have a wedding that weekend. If that was
Yeah.
Friday, I would have been
It
there.
would've worked,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
I actually threw it out there last night. Like, is it cool if I don't go to this on the 6th? But I don't think it's going to work out.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to come up to Jersey City on the 11th at FM Bar.
Yeah.
Then you're in Harrisburg, Richmond, New Brunswick. Did you go to school?
Yeah, I went to Rutgers
Okay.
and lived in New Brunswick, and
So is that sort of like a hometown crowd a little bit?
a little bit. Actually, my sister currently goes to Rutgers and lives there too. So, like, it it feels kind of nice and
Right.
Nice.
definitely see some friends and
So did you play New Brunswick a lot in college?
yeah. Played New Brunswick a lot over the past couple of years, and it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting as you're growing up, going back to your college town and sort of just being like,
All right.
I'm in my second half of my 20s, and this is kind of weird.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's a really awesome place to play with, you know, kids and people who want to hear live music and
Right.
have no outlet really to go see live music, except for like in their friends' basements. So
Right. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah.
And then November you're going to be in Brooklyn.
Mhm.
So, what? How did you find your label? What was like shopping experience like for a label and stuff?
So Dolly's had been talking to 6131 and was signing a contract with them
Okay.
when everything kind of went down.
So you were on their radar already.
Yeah, and you know, had developed that relationship with them, and they're all incredible people doing really cool stuff. They, you know, have had really awesome artists that they've worked with on their label too. So, I, you know, when with this record, I had sent it out to a couple other spots too, just people that I sort of had kept in contact with.
Right.
This 603 ended up saying, like, we all like were in 100% agreement and wanted to sign this, and that felt really good.
Right.
That felt nice.
That's
So,
cool.
Yeah.
That's killer.
Yeah.
Sweet. I forgot what I was gonna say. I know what I was gonna
We
say.
could do another song, right?
Yeah, totally. Definitely do another song. Maybe before the song, just talk about some influences. You mentioned Weezer, Pixies.
Yeah.
Like who are your would you listen to growing up?
I listened to Nirvana was probably my first like band that I really loved, and I love the Pixies, and I guess like a lot of that maybe 90s influence that
Right.
you were talking about might have come from those two
Right.
sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also like just a huge music fan. I love pop music, like Beyonce.
Right.
Queen Bee.
Incredible. Yeah, just and even just like classic rock,
Right.
current. I love current, like where indie rock is kind of going now, with like Hop Along and Soccer Mommy and like just cool like women, you know,
Right.
women's voices kind of coming out in a genre of music that they've been a little absent for a while.
Right.
And yeah, even like classical music. I love classical music. The one genre I haven't really gone down with is like modern country,
Right.
where it sort of just sounds like
bringing a tear
normal.
to this
No,
guy's
no.
eye.
pop
I
music,
do
but-
not. I do not like modern country. Like Sam Hunting's. I don't like that pop country
Well,
stuff.
it's like not even like country really anymore. It's
Yeah.
like they slightly have a banjo in the background, and they're like, but it sounds like a
It's bad.
club hit or something.
I
It's
was,
just
I was
like,
saying
what is
how
this?
Chris Stapleton's probably my favorite, but he's like country rock.
Yeah.
And he's old school. The new stuff's pretty bad. Like on the radio, it's bad. But Brad Paisley, Kenny Chesney, those guys, I like.
Yeah. I love like older country too. I like Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
And for a second, I was like obsessed with Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash.
And I just listened to the Folsom Prison Blues album,
Yeah, that's
like
cool.
like nonstop.
Right.
It was like also around the time when I was like dressing in all black is the coolest
Yeah.
thing you could possibly do.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's cool. I mean, that's also a vibe record, right? If there ever was one, I guess.
Yeah, big time.
How's it opening up for Newfound Glory? That's pretty.
It
Pretty
was
awesome.
incredible. It was really cool. Everything about that show worked in our favor. Like, it was like the strangest thing. It was like it got moved to Convention Hall, which
Right.
was like Convention Hall.
Right.
Like you're like
Yeah,
walking
yeah.
in the back. They have all the posters hanging up of old shows.
That's cool.
You're just walking around. You're like, yeah, no big deal. Like Beach Boys played here, Rolling Stone,
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
Totally.
And then it got moved aside, and the band got held up at the Canadian border. So they were like 2 hours late.
Oh, wow.
So they pushed the whole show back. So when we played, there were probably about like, I would say like 2,000 to,
That's
to
awesome.
2,500 people in the room,
Right.
Which might not have been the case if we had gone on at our normal like slotted time.
Right.
So that was incredible. Everybody who worked the event like worked their butts off, and the bands were super nice and really sweet and had cool things to say afterwards. So
That's cool.
Nice.
yeah, it was a great show.
Nice.
So Newfound Glory was like early 2000s, right?
Yeah, like probably when I was in middle school, I
Yeah.
feel like.
That was a fun time for rock.
Yeah,
How old are you? 20,
I'm 28.
20 I'm 27. So
Yeah.
same time frame. I used to go to all the Warped Tours and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, their following is still pretty nuts.
Totally. Look at that.
Temptations.
Cool. Summer of Stars.
That's pretty killer. I think,
Wow.
you know, it's funny is some shop in Asbury has one of those old posters, or I think it may have been a newspaper ad, was like, here's the summer schedule for Convention Hall. And like that one had Led Zeppelin, Iron Butterfly, Steppenwolf, Temptations,
Joplin.
Janis
That's
Joplin.
crazy.
That is crazy. Dionne Warwick. She could tell your future and do the show. Right? That's pretty killer. But yeah, there is like total music history there. Like my parents grew up in the area, and my dad tells me a story too. He saw the Rolling Stones in Asbury, and I'm drawing a total blank now. What's the hotel like right downtown?
Oh, the Berkeley?
No, the old, the other end of the boardwalk. It's like a dance club, and I can't think of the name.
Oh, the Empress?
Empress, yeah. So the Rolling Stones were on a balcony of the Empress, like waving to all the kids, like came down to see him and stuff, like in the afternoon. You know,
Wow.
That's
it's
wild.
like talk about a
That's
crazy
crazy,
scene,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really wild. So it is a cool spot. Do you have any favorite places to play in Asbury other than Convention Hall? I guess.
I
obviously?
love playing the brewery. I think it's just like sort of feels almost like a basement or something. It has that vibe where it's sort of like you're not on a stage, like everyone's like right there, and it feels very like personal, and like the staff there is also fantastic. Like,
That's cool.
Jeff is awesome. And I really like playing the Saint too. You know, I think that size stage is just really nice. And
Yeah,
yeah, but I mean, also like Convention Hall was
that's pretty
unreal.
cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Right.
Yeah, like I walked up on that stage and I couldn't. It was huge. It's beautiful
Right.
room, space, inspiring to be in. So
That is cool.
It's really cool.
Are you
Yeah.
playing with other bands at any of these shows, or is it? just
Yeah.
you?
So all the when you're in this sort of like original music type world like this, like you're not gonna play longer than like a half
Half
set
hour?
or so. So
Okay.
yeah, all the other shows like have cool bands on them, and especially our release show, Man Dancing from Northern Jersey coming down to play.
Right.
They're phenomenal and a really awesome band to see live. And then our friends from Pennsylvania, Slingshot Dakota, are coming to play, and they're a two-piece, super loud rockin' drums
Really?
with like overdriven, distorted like keyboard stuff.
Oh wow.
It's like
Sweet.
awesome, really fun.
What's her name?
They're called Slingshot Dakota.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and
I gotta write
Yeah,
that down
write
so I
that
don't
down.
forget.
and then Late Waves locals to Asbury Park
Nice.
are playing, and their songs are unreal good. Like just like sort of I guess what inspires me to write, is how
Right.
they write. Just sort of like they're cool guitar parts, like cool rock songs, but still have that like pop edge where you're just
that's
like
cool.
I can sing along to every word, and I dig that. Like
That is
I like
cool.
them a lot. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I remember seeing an insane two-piece Local H. I don't know if you ever saw them.
Oh wow, yeah.
They were like very Nirvana-esque, and like I saw them in a tiny club in the city, and the drums were just like monstrous. Like it was
Yeah.
crazy.
I can't believe they played as a two-piece.
Yeah, like it was wild. It was literally so he had the singer guitarist had some crazy hookup. I don't know exactly what it was, but I think he literally almost put like a bass pickup on his guitar, and he had like two jacks on his guitar. He ran one through a guitar rig and one through a bass rig. It was
Interesting.
insane. He was
Yeah.
triggering like bass sounds with his guitar and stuff.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
crazy. But like just you couldn't believe two people could make that much sound. It was awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, so I'm psyched for all your upcoming shows. I am bummed I'm missing the brewery probably.
Yeah.
What I'll do,
sounds
if
good.
anyone wants to DM me on Instagram at Evan Ballmer or through the show, I'll give away a pair of tickets. Since I can't buy tickets, I'm going to
That's
pick up a pair on brownpapertickets.com. So someone message us, either hit us up now on Facebook or DM me on Instagram, and we'll give away a pair of tickets for that too. You feel like playing another song?
Yeah, totally.
Sweet.
Just make sure I'm in tune here.
So is your schedule clear, Mike, for the 6th?
It's no, I have a wedding. So if it was Friday, I
Right.
guess Friday's the 5th would have been. Gotta go out to PA.
That's cool. Do you know what capacity is at the brewery?
I think it's like maybe like 150.
That's cool.
They got a big space.
Yeah. So that'll be a killer show.
We're gonna do super fun stuff too. Like there's gonna be a photo booth outside
Nice.
with like the same blue background that we took all these pictures and the album
that's
covers
cool.
and
Right.
stuff. And then we're going to have temporary tattoo stations
Right.
with like little like well wisher and this is fine and the doll and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
And then we're gonna have like lots of balloons and lights and just like cool
Right.
decorations.
Nice.
That's sweet.
Have some fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, October 6th, Asbury Park Brewery.
This is a song called Sweet.
Sweet.
Sweet. Pockets of sand. Little desert in my hands. As the water rolls. Darkness ate our toes. Things that seem so wrong won't be for long. It's so sweet now that you love me. My woman, I hope you know my love is in your hands. And you're so lovely, I can't believe you take me to be your man. And things that seem so wrong won't be for long. It's so sweet now that you love me. It's so sweet now that you love me. Oh, why? It's so sweet now that you love me. It's so sweet oh, now that you love me. Why?
Awesome. Thanks, Natalie.
Yeah, thanks so much.
That was killer.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. All right, once again, Natalie from Well Wisher, wellwishernj.com, on Facebook at WellWisherNJ, Instagram, wellwisher_NJ. This is fine. Everywhere you can buy music, out 9/28 on 6131.
There you go.
6131
I was curious if you were going to do that.
I had a little battle going on in my mind. Like 6131? No. 6131? No. Damn it. Check out the full list of shows. The 20th in Philly, once again. Record release party, 10/6 Asbury Park at the Asbury Park Brewery. Natalie, thanks very much. We appreciate it. Those are killer songs.
Thank you so much.
I'm Evan Baumer. You can find me at Evan Baumer on Instagram. Shoot me a DM, and we're giving away some Well-Wisher tickets. That's right. Don't forget, go on brownpapertickets.com to score your tickets for the release show.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.